It's so exciting to be here for so many reasons. I think like Senai said, I've been taking in so many amazing ideas and meeting so many people. I really don't want to talk about anything that I meant to talk about, but I will, because I didn't have time to think about something else. It is incredible to be here at this conference that combines so many different backgrounds and looks at the largest issues about wellness and social change and has the arts at the center. That means so much, and it's something that I care about a great deal. And as the introduction said, technology has also been at the center of this equation for me for a long time, partly because I had an engineer father and a pianist mother, and I've been trying to reconcile those, and especially to turn technology into something that helps us grow as individuals and societies rather than holds us back. So let's see, which slide is it? Yeah. So I think in the little time I have, I just want to add a few maybe unusual ideas about how music can be used to inspire creativity, to induce calm, and to build powerful communities. All things that we've talked about, but maybe there's a slightly different approach in what I'll say. So for a long time, I've been looking at ways that technology can adapt to the way humans behave in the most intimate way rather than the other way around. So this is a technology called Hyperinstruments. That's a young Yo-Yo Ma playing a cello that we built for him. The cello measures not only how he plays, but his inner feeling while he's playing, and by changing just a little bit of his expression, the cello can turn into a trumpet or a flute or a voice or a whole orchestra or something you've never heard before. All very, very intuitive. And we can use that same technology that we built for a solo instrument to control a very large project. So I do operas and stage shows. This is one about a man who wants to live forever, and he actually finds a way to download himself into his environment. The singer leaves the stage right away. He says, "I'm out of here. I have another form of existence." And he actually goes down in the orchestra pit with the instrumentalists, and just like with Yo-Yo, we measure everything about him. We measure his singing, but also his gesture, his muscle tension, his breathing, his everything, and all of that gets reflected back onto the stage. So in fact, the whole stage, everything you hear, everything you see, actually is this person, even though the human being's not there. And so the whole opera is about, what is the limit of technology? Can technology actually allow us to live forever? Can it allow us to represent everything about ourselves, like over Zoom? I guess we know now that it can't, and that's where the opera ends up. But let me just play you a tiny bit of this, and then I'll show you where that technology can go next. First opera, I think, with a chorus of robots, but I recommend them for any other opera if you want to make one. All the characters in the show actually follow the main character into this system and say, oh, there is a better existence through technology. And the daughter is the one who finally says, it's not the same thing. I'm human, mortality, technology is not a replacement. So that's where the opera comes down. But you can use similar technology for all kinds of instances for health and well-being in particular. We can design an instrument like this for somebody like Dan Elsey, who was born with cerebral palsy, can't speak, has a very difficult time communicating, but he can use the head system that we built for him to create music with our software and also to perform it, and really to show who he is through his music and through this interface. We can use it to build a device called an orb that measures the vibration in your voice and allows you to meditate yourself by singing, and like a singing meditation, and to feel the physicality of your voice amplified, or to share it with family and friends so you can share this physicality of your voice. It's a new way of understanding your own singing. And at the MIT Media Lab, we study a great deal about why music affects us so deeply so that we can shape music for particular purposes, almost like a prescription to make music that has particular effects on people. Alexandra Riguer and Kimi Lakamwazam are both have backgrounds in music and neuroscience. Kimi happens to be here, so if you see her or if you come to our workshop this afternoon or the vernissage later, she's a fantastic person to talk to about music and mental health in particular. One thing we've been studying is forms of frequencies that actually have very, very specific effects on your physical and mental state. So Alexandra's been studying gamma frequencies, which are 40 hertz. It's actually the lowest. I can play it for you. It's about the lowest E on the piano, lowest E on the electric bass. And it turns out that that's a frequency that we have running in our brain, but it often goes wrong. It's either not there, it's the wrong frequency, it's intermittent. And when it goes wrong, a lot of things, bad things can happen. One of the main ones is that the parts of your brain that clean up after brain activity, called microglial cells, stop working, and plaque builds up in your brain, which is one of the things that causes Alzheimer's disease. So if we can get these frequencies running again, it actually reverses the effect of Alzheimer's disease. So it's the only thing that does that yet. So it's a musical input that can actually change Alzheimer's disease. And this is actually what the frequency sounds like. It's not just the low note, but it's all the partials over it. And I actually like that sound, but most people don't want to listen to it for hours and hours. So we've been embedding that sound into musical pieces that are interesting to listen to. So this is just a little bit of a piece that I wrote for the Kronos Quartet called Gammified, with that frequency the entire way through, but with a musical narrative that carries you along. So this is 30 seconds of Gammified. So hopefully that refreshed your brain just a little bit. So just one last thing in this little bit of time that I wanted to share with you. That's actually my mom, and I think I'm in that picture somewhere hidden in the back. And so she was a very well-known music teacher, went to Juilliard, terrific pianist, but she really believed that it was just as important for kids to learn to make their own music, to be creators, as it was to learn music on printed pages written by people who died a long time ago. And so I was the oldest of 3 kids, so I was kind of her guinea pig in learning her methodology. And we'd have our piano lessons, and then she'd say, okay, could you just stay for 5 more minutes and go anywhere in the house and everybody bring back something that makes an interesting sound. So we'd all go bring a pot or a pan or a book or a lamp or something from around the house. And she'd say, okay, what sound does that make? And that. And, oh, that's great. What's the loudest sound you can make with that? What's the softest sound? What's it like with those 2 sounds together? Oh, how interesting. What's a word that describes that sound? Oh, we have a lot of sounds, a lot of words. Can we make a story with them? How would we start? What comes next? How do we end? Fantastic. Now, when you go home this week, could you just make a picture of what we did so that when we come back next week, you can remember it and we can do it again? And so in that little bit of time, we learned that music isn't something just on printed music. It's something that comes from the world around us. It's something that anybody can not only make their own music, but make their own system. And even something complex like music notation is just a way of remembering something you did so that you can do it again. And I think that not only influenced me a great deal, but it led to what I spend a lot of my time doing now, which is trying to encourage everybody, no matter what their background, age, musical training or not, to develop their music creativity through music. And the largest project that we do in this area is called City Symphonies, where we go into a city, we say we're going to make a sonic portrait of the city using musical elements like an orchestra or a band or whatever, all kinds of instruments, but also by listening to the city itself, finding out what those sounds are. And then we invite everybody in the city to collaborate to make that piece together. And these turn out to be fantastic projects. We've done them all over the world. We start by making apps so that people can go and record sounds. We have software called Hyperscore, where anybody can compose using lines and color. And we have an installation of that right now if you want to try it over at the Ascuna Zentoya. We collect thousands of sounds and put them in sonic maps where you can make your own mixes by moving your hands and trade them with everybody else in the city. We do all kinds of workshops, improvisation and collaborative. We collect all these sounds. And actually, we're just going to play 1 minute of how we make this project. This one's from Detroit.
I think what Tod's doing with this program, the sounds that we're going to gather and the voices that we're going to hear are new, they're fresh, they're vibrant, and they're full of hope and optimism, which is something that you don't normally see when you talk about Detroit.
I love how he's incorporating like all the sounds of the city, and he's giving people who've lived in Detroit and know the city the best the opportunity to share with the rest of the world what they love about the city themselves.
Detroit is full of people who know how to go out there and get things done, who know how to make a way out of no way.
We're going to make a big piece of music for the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. We're going to show the world what Detroit sounds like.
And to close, I'll just say that we're talking about the idea of perhaps doing one of these city symphonies here in Bilbao on the theme of what would it be like to have an entire community devoted to well-being for everybody. The idea would be to do this over the next 2 years, and we started now. If we do it, we'd certainly love all of you to consider yourselves honorary citizens of Bilbao and contribute. And I'll just end by, we've been working with kids here for the last month or so. Just wanted to play one tiny snippet. This is a little piece by Javier, sung through the eyelids. This is just a tiny bit that we took, and I gave it to my students back at MIT. So this is the original in Hyperscore. And I gave this to Anna and Max just a few days ago, and they morphed it into this, which is the first kernel of this Bilbao Symphony. So help us make a Bilbao Symphony. I'd love to talk about it with you. Thanks so much. Thank you.
You gotta come back. You gotta come back. Some people are standing and
Oh, thank you. I'm surprised. Thank you. Oh, thank you.